Welcome back to Story Behind the Story. I'm your host, Angela Luna. We are here live at the Student Union for Student Media Day, and we're going to talk with Mika Wright, a Missourian reporter, about her story on Black History Month. How are you doing today, Mika?
I'm good. How are you, Luna?
Doing pretty good. Now, you said behind the scenes with your story, you had about 8 interviews. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. I spent the afternoon wandering around the SEC, looking to ask students about how they celebrated Black History Month. I know definitely DEI had a lot of things set up this month, but a lot of those got canceled due to the crazy weather that we've definitely been having this month. But just coming in and out of the SEC, just students coming in, and I ran into a lot of multicultural organization leaders, and I sat with them and I asked them about how they felt about Black History Month and what it meant to them. And I got a variety of things. I got interviews from Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity president, Phi Beta Sigma fraternity president and vice president, as well as MMO president.
Awesome. Yeah. Now, what was like the wide variety of the interviews? What were the most, did you have any surprising responses, or were they all pretty
not
average?
Necessarily surprising, because I feel that I agree with the opinion, but a lot of students felt that as if Black History Month shouldn't just be designated to one month, and that being the shortest month of the year, in fact. The way we see it is that we are Black every day. We're Black every day, and we should be celebrated every day. Right. Though Black History Month provides us an opportunity to look back on our ancestors and see where we've come from and praise their success, because if we don't praise their success, then we will never continually have the success that we do now.
Absolutely. Now, was there any difficulties with getting your story put together, or was there anything else you'd like to add with your story?
No, it wasn't very difficult. I feel like a lot of students actually, in fact, wanted people to know how they feel about the month in general. One of my favorite quotes, the MMO president, Montez Huggins, he said, Black History Month, what it meant to him was knowing where he came from. Because if he doesn't know where he comes from, then he doesn't know where he's going. And I think that is the perfect epitome for just Black History Month in general, that we have to remember where we have come from in order to progress and in order to keep going.
Got you. No, that's awesome. Now with your story and everything, going back into Black History Month, was there any interviews that specifically stood out to you by chance?
Any interviews that specifically stuck out to me? I think everybody had a different approach of how they celebrated Black History Month, if they did at all. The Justin Mallett, the director of diversity and inclusion, he celebrated Black History Month by educating people, by telling people about it, and not just students, but his own children at home, giving them Black History Month facts about Black inventors and things like that. The education of our foundations, basically. Mainly, we all pretty much were on solid grounds at how we felt about it. It meant the same thing to everyone almost in general, just everyone tweaked it to their own personalities or
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mika, for coming in, and we look
you.
forward to reading your story and getting awesome feedback.
Yes,
Come back, we'll have Abby Hugo here on Story Behind the Story on X106 and KNWT Channel 8. Welcome back to Story Behind the Story on KZLX, X106, and KNWT Channel 8. I'm your host, Angela Luna, and we are still live here in the Student Union for Student Media Day. And I'm here with Chief Reporter Abby Hugo. How's your story? How are you doing today, girl?
Good, how are you?
Doing pretty good. Now, Abby's going to tell us a little about Samantha Collision's story about state lawmakers try to limit employer access to personal accounts. So this sounds kind of like a pretty big deal. So can you give us a little background story about what this story's about?
Yes, so pretty much Missouri legislature is considering this bill, and if it is passed, it'll prohibit employers, landlords, and educational institutions from requiring applicants to give their passwords and usernames to their online and social media accounts. And it'll also prohibit them from giving disciplinary actions if they refuse to
Okay.
provide that information.
Awesome. Now, when it came to getting interviews for this story, was she able to get any legislators, or what approach did she use to go about it?
Well, since legislators are so hard to get a hold of, she wasn't able to get in contact with any representatives of the bill. So she took more of a different approach from the student angle, and she talked to both a professor on campus and a student.
Okay, and then what was the feedback based on those interviews?
Well, she talked to mass media instructor Kyle Miller, and his views were that he was in favor of the bill because asking someone to disclose their password does seem kind of like an invasion of privacy. But both he and the student interview agreed that although that's what privacy, students need to be more aware and more cautious about what they post online.
Okay. Also, now, do you think this is going to cause, like, maybe, do you think it seems like this bill could get passed, or this is going to cause, with the invasion of privacy, by chance, do you think this is going to be successful, or could you see Northwest possibly taking precautions?
The bill was just introduced in January, and the last action on it was a hearing in early February, so it's still kind of in the early stages.
Okay, awesome. Now, with this story here too, it just kind of talks about, I said back February 14th is when they went to the actions committee to get it passed or whatever. Do you think she could do a follow-up interview later, maybe, with any of the legislators?
When we cover bills like this that are still in the process of just possibly being passed, obviously this is something that will affect a lot of people, so if it does get passed or progress further, then it'd be great to go back and, yes, probably get more perspective from legislators as well.
Awesome. Now, is there anything else you'd like to add that maybe didn't get in the story, or by chance,
No, it's just, like she said, she's into the fact that students need to be aware with their route given their passwords, to be aware of what they post online and be more cautious about it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Abby. Well, don't change that dial. We'll be right back on Story Behind the Story, and Cameron is going to come back and talk with us for a little bit on KZLX X106 and KNWT Channel 8.
And welcome back into the Story Behind the Story here on KZLX and KNWT Channel 8. We're broadcasting live from the Student Media Day at the JWN Student Union. I'm Devin Alberton, Sports Director at KZLX, and I'm joined by Northwest Missourian Sports Assistant Editor Joseph Andrews, trying to take Isaiah's job there. But Joe, this week your story is not 3, not 4, but now 5 regular season titles in a row for the Northwest Missouri State basketball team. They're 4 straight outright. What did Coach McCollum say about this amazing accomplishment?
Really, that accomplishment combined with his 200th win, he really spoke that it really speaks to the culture which has been established since he got here. It speaks to what kind of guys he's brought into the program, what type of really just overall culture. Every single guy has their own contribution, and it kind of all pieces together to the culture as we know it today.
And of course, this run started in the first year of it. It was Dylan Starzl and Deshaun Cooper on the team, a shared conference title, and ever since then, Justin Pitts has been the best player on the team in leading the 4 outright titles. It's been an amazing accomplishment with different guys in different roles there, with Northwest being able to adapt every year and win this really difficult conference. And as we kind of get into other stuff, Coach McCollum, his 200th win also in your story, 125 MIAA wins, 6 overall MIAA titles. What has McCollum meant over the past few years here at Northwest, the last 9 years as their head coach?
Really, I think the first off thing is that he said that win meant as much as winning 199 digs. So I think that really speaks to him and how he is as a coach. He doesn't want to focus on just one piece of success. He just wants to continue growing. And that's one thing he really emphasized. I mean, last year they won a championship.
Yep.
He still said after that championship that there's room to continue building that culture.
Yeah, it's huge there. And, of course, we get the injury update again. Justin Pitts, he talked about his toe this week. He averaged 15.5 points and 5 assists last week in wins at Lindenwood and at Lincoln. He was named MIAA Player of the Year this past week, 3rd straight time getting the award. What did he say about his toe and how it's progressing going into the MIAA tournament?
Well, I spoke to him on Tuesday afternoon, and he said really overall he felt a lot better last week. He's starting to feel more comfortable, starting to realize what he can do and what he cannot do. And really last week for him, he said, was really that major step to starting to get back on that flow. He said, give it a few more games and he'll be back to normal.
And that's good to hear. Of course, the 1 year he didn't win MIAA Player of the Year, he was the Freshman of the Year and first team All MIAA. So one of the best players ever to play in the MIAA. And then Chris Ibu-Endow, he hurt his leg against Missouri Southern a couple weeks ago. He missed all of last week. What's his status going into the MIAA tournament for the second-team all-conference player?
Well, Coach McCollum said he's actually doing pretty good as of Tuesday afternoon. He said if they really needed to play last Saturday against Lincoln, that he probably would have played. He wouldn't tell us whether or not he'll play Friday or not, but I'd probably assume that we'd probably see him really ahead of this tournament action. By the sounds of it, he's a lot better than what he was, and really no reason he can't play.
And that's good to hear if Northwest can get back to full strength, at least get him back to maybe a little more limited action and get more to his usual stuff. He's a leading rebounder for Northwest, averages over 8 rebounds a game, about 15 points a game, so he's a really big part of this team. And then, of course, other MIAA performers for this team. Brett Doherty, a guy that I really like, third-team All-MIAA performer, first-team All-Defense, but I thought was really important for him to get recognized for his defensive play in the post. A little bit undersized, but he holds his own against some of the better posts in the MIAA.
Yeah, really, like all year, Coach McCollum has really talked about how underestimated he is, and really to what he contributes to this team. It's great to see him get this allocated, and really he's been a main part of the contributions this year, and he's really fulfilled that role, so this honor is pretty deserving for him.
Best defense in the MIAA, and he's the anchor for it. And then, of course, Joey Wittes, third-team All-MIAA. And I think if he would have played like he has the last 3 weeks, early in the year, he's a first or second-team guy. Since Pitt's been limited, he's really blossomed as a really go-to guy for Northwest.
Yeah, for him to come into Northwest this year and fit into that culture and find his role has really contributes to him getting this honor. And really the past couple of weeks with the injuries that they have, he's really had the chance to step into that role a little bit more and become one of those more dynamic guys, and he's only going to continue growing. This is his junior season now, so he's got another year, so I expect to see him even better next year.
Yep. He'll be a leader of the team next year, and of course he's going to help Northwest going into the MIAA tournament this week. They got Pitt State on Friday, and then if they win that, it'd be either Central Oklahoma or Central Missouri on Saturday, and then so forth. But we're going to transition here to a bigger topic at Northwest. A legend announces retirement this week, effective April 30th. Mel Church was athletic director. Of course, he coached football at Northwest between 1994 and 2010. Then he took a couple years off. He's been the athletic director for the last 5 years at Northwest. That's 22 years of service to the Bearcats athletics. What has he meant to this university and kind of helping this university grow to what it is today?
I don't even know if you can really sum up his effect. I mean, he started off the tradition that is now Northwest football today, but also he, since leaving the coaching sideline, he's really stepped into the athletic director role. He brought us the media board over, helped bring us, I should say, that media board, and then he's helped us get the Hughes Fieldhouse, which is being built right now, and really Agda's culture, a couple different coaching hires in the process. Really, overall, his effect is going to be, I don't even know if you can describe it. He'll be a legend.
You can't quantify his effect. Hall of Famer in college football as well. So I want to thank you for joining the show, Joe, and I want to thank you for tuning in to KZLX and KNWT Channel 8. I am Devin Albertson, and we will see you next week on The Story Behind the Story.